I'm Evans Andrew, and this is Maisha Nordics. We're in Turkey, and we're going to speak to Mr. Ian King's Maisha Nordics stories as we are. Thank you, Mr. Ian Kings, for joining us in this series of Maisha Nordics. Ian, you're joining us from Turkey. Welcome,
Yeah.
welcome. I must say that I think the last time I saw you,
Yeah.
you were under 10 years old.
Yeah, it's been a long time. I think I was around 7 or 8 years old. So way back, way back. But you haven't changed. You haven't changed a bit. Still the same guy.
I think that you're, well, from your eyes, you look more wiser, of course. And
I
of
hope
course,
I.
I mean, we've been talking on phone now for a while, and you used to talk a lot, my brother.
I did, but I guess with growing up and all that, you learn to adjust.
Tell me about how has life been? How have you grown up? Because at the point of meeting you,
Mhm.
there were so many things going on in your life, and even as a young child, I would say you're just 7 years old, and there was already so much going on in your life. How have you lived, my friend?
Let me see where to start. So I lost my parents at a very young age. Uh, I first lost my mom at around 6, 7 years old when I was around 6, 7. So after her death, I stayed with my dad for for a while. But then uh, my family from my mom's side thought it better if they took me if I stayed with them. So there was some arrangements, and since my father was a soldier, he was always away.
Right.
So during that period of time, I was left with that care. There was somebody to take care of me while he was away. So during that period of time, my grandfather and my uncles and my aunts arranged something, and while he was away, they managed to. I can't say kidnap me, but it was take me away from my dad's place home.
Um, you were you were 7 when your mom passed away, and from my memory, by the time your mom was passing away, your parents were not together. Is that correct?
Yeah, that it was a rough patch for them, on and
Okay.
off. So that's what I had to go through as a kid. But yeah, it built part of who I am today. So yeah, during that time they were not together, but they were kind of also together. I was very young. I
It was
couldn't
an on and
understand.
off. Yes,
Yeah,
it was
so
an
I
on and
could.
off.
Yeah.
First of all, I'm at, you sitting here today, and we having this conversation brings back, of course, a lot of memories from back then, because of course I met you for a short period of time, but there's the impact of that meeting, because if you can remember, my family and us were also going through a lot then, and I could connect with you even as a kid,
Yeah.
uh, because I was in my teens at that time, but I could be able to still connect with you uh, in that painful moment, because I felt like you understood me because I understood you in
Right,
that
right.
sense. So then of course things happen. Life has to move on. You, as you said, your paternal family took you away. So your dad was still alive at that point, because
Yes, yeah, he was still alive at that point, but since he was away, he couldn't act immediately on trying to find me.
right,
So I was taken away to my grandfather's home, where I stayed with them for a while, because I was just beginning school, so things had to be put in place. So my education, where I'd stay, and all that. So after staying with them for a while, one of my uncles took me with him, and he became my parent then. And so today is the father I know. So when my father came back, he tried to find me, but because he didn't know most of my family from my mom's side, there was no way of him locating where I was or who I was with. So he looked around for a while. There were struggles here and there. My grandfather had to go to prison. Okay, not prison really, jail. Like he was for a night or two or something, as they were trying to figure out things. But things worked out. He got out, and I think my father just gave up on the search, or I don't know. I don't know whatever happened on his side. So since then, I haven't seen him. I didn't know what he was doing or how his life went about until, as a young adult, when I was told he had passed away. He had passed on, and that was a few years back. So there was no feeling of, I don't know, pain or anything, because
loss,
yeah. So I grew up with my uncle, and he's been the father I've known, and the other relatives, my aunts, they've always been there to support. And so I can't say I grew up as an orphan. Yeah, okay, technically I was an orphan, but I got the love, the maternal, paternal from my aunt, from my uncle, and I'm forever grateful. They made me who I am today.
right. I just think, and first of all, I mean, of course, losing a parent, especially at that age, is
Yeah.
not the easiest thing. And I, I know it's been years, and we've grown up, and we've chatted our ways, but I still have to say that, man, I have to really still pass my condolences.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. Now let's walk a bit back to the being kidnapped or taken away, as you'd like to
Yeah.
to call it.
Uh,
So I'm guessing by that you are maybe about 10 or over 10 years old by that time. That you
uh, yeah, around 8, 9.
8, 9 years old.
Yeah.
What was going through your mind? Because uh,
Well,
you're not
uh,
you're I mean, as much as because there's during that period there were a lot of these stories about somebody losing their parents, and the other family feeling that we can take care of him better, and
yeah,
going away and take these were the stories about this kinds of incidences one are not unique to you, they were at
yeah,
all. So and
yeah,
that's why I want to a bit focus on this part. As a child,
yes.
how did you process this in your head?
So the day is very clear. I can remember it
Yeah,
to date. So I was just sitting in front of our house, and I could see somebody walking outside the gate, like down the road. And I remember telling my uh, the house help who was there to take care of me. I told her, I think I know those guys.
right,
It was my uncle and his fiance then.
right,
Yeah. So I told her I think I know those guys, but I was forbidden from leaving the house or going out the gate. So I think they walked down to a neighbor's place, and then they asked around, and then came back uh, to our house. So as
And
a
of course, as
child,
a child, you are excited to
I'm
see them.
excited because I can remember this is one of my uncles, and it
Yeah,
had been a long time since I saw him. So I was excited, and yeah, it was very nice to see them around. And so they told me, you know what, we are just here for a short while, and we were thinking of visiting uh, one of your uh, grandfathers. It's like my grandfather's brother,
right.
who I knew had visited us before, and so they told me we were to go and visit him because I knew he lived around the city I was in.
Right.
So I was there. Yeah, why not? Because I know these guys, and the house help was confused. She was okay. So sure, if you say you know them, then okay, you can live with them. So I can remember I didn't pack up anything. I just went, put on my shoes, clothes, and then they asked me, do you want to go and see your grandfather? No, not my grandfather.
Not the
Yeah, and I can, and you know, from my memories with my grandfather, he was very loving, and I always had fun around him. So as a child, I was like, yeah,
Of course, you're excited.
why not? I don't see why I shouldn't. So with that, we just they left an uh, ID of my grandfather to show that he's the one who took me, not my uncles.
Ah, they left an ID.
Yeah, a copy of an ID.
Where? At your father's
Yeah, at the
okay,
house.
right.
So that if anybody came back and asked who took me away, it would look like my grandfather did because the copy of his ID is there.
Right.
So anyway, my uncles were acting on my grandfather's instructions,
Yes.
to the best of my knowledge, at least. Yeah. So with that, we set off, and before I knew it, it was evening, and we were in a bus. And you know, as a kid, are we there yet? No. So we kept asking, are we there yet? Are we there yet? Yeah.
Man, I can picture your excitement. You know, I loved riding the buses when I was a kid.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So it was quite an experience.
Yes.
So after hours and hours on the road, yeah, uh, we find at some point I reunited with my grandfather, and that was a new beginning for me, a new
Right.
beginning, a different part of my life. Yeah.
So from that point on, you never saw your father again.
So I never saw him again, though I heard before he in his attempts to find me, he'd come to my grandfather's home. By then I wasn't living with him. I had
Right.
already moved
Yes.
out to live with my uncle. So yeah, he made attempts. He came to his home severally, you know, intimidation and all that. He was a senior military officer, so you can imagine.
Right.
Yeah, so there was a little intimidation here and there, but I never saw him again.
What?
That
So how did you learn that your grandfather ended up in a cell?
again, stories as I grew older and I could take it. So you know, from
So
cousins.
you get these little nitbits of what was happening during all this
Yeah,
melee, you know.
yes. And so you know, cousins who were around then, or people who were around to who witnessed the whole thing. So stories here and there. At some point, he had to go to jail for a little bit and all that. But yeah, over time, I think he just grew weary and gave up.
Do you remember questioning why you were not why you couldn't go back to live with your father?
Actually, because as a kid, I didn't have that kind of relation with my father. He was never around. He, as a military guy, he was always away. So I didn't know him that well.
Mm, mm,
So as a child at that age, I was getting what a child needed. I was getting the love,
the attention that
the
and
attention.
everybody focused on
Yeah,
your well-being.
exactly. So I had everything. I had no reason to question that.
Or to miss him. Yeah.
No, I don't remember ever doing that.
Wow.
But as you grow up, you know, when you're also trying to find your identity, and yeah, questions popped up at some point, like who am I, and
Mm.
where is my family, or but then I just came to accept that I am who I am today, and the family I currently have is my family. So I kind of forgot about that part of my life.
Do you because let's key in on the identity part. Do you have that inkling towards finding out more? I mean, of course, now you're independent, and you know you've charted your own path as
Yeah.
it is. But do you have that feeling? Does some feeling creep on you from time to time that you miss that relationship? And do you see, is there a difference when you look at your mates, friends who grew up with both parents?
Mhm.
Do you find some difference in how you reason, or do you know what I mean? Like, do you?
I get it. I get.
Yes.
To be honest, I don't think I do. But at some point during my teenage years,
Yeah.
uh, yeah, you know, when you had to explain yourself, like say you are in school and you have to present your birth certificate. Yeah, and
Yes.
like your teachers are okay. So who is this? You say this is your dad. Then why is the name not on the certificate? Or like something is not adding up. So at that point, you know, I used to question myself, like, should I, maybe did I miss something? Should I have maybe tried to, you know, form a connection with my dad, or tried to maybe have that relationship, or am I missing something that everybody gets from their biological fathers?
Right.
Uh, But that was just my during my teenage years. As I grew
Right.
up, I think that slowly faded away, and uh, at some point, I just accepted that I don't think growing up without my biological father changed anything. At some point, I just felt like the people who are around me, those are my family.
Right.
So I kind of accepted my uncle as my father,
Right.
and yeah, I don't question it anymore. He's just, if you asked me, the first thing that comes to my mind, yeah, he is my father.
Right.
So yeah.
And that's good that you say that, because um, there's something that you mentioned, that because it would have been different if your father was present. If he
Yes.
was actively part of your life, then it would have been, of course, your questions would have been more, and your confusion would have been more pronounced, rather than you being kidnapped and, well, kidnapped into love. If I would sum it up
Right.
according to what you've said today. Um,
Yes.
Talk to me about your identity in terms of names, because you're Ian
Okay.
Kings. Yeah.
So uh, so as a little child, my mother and my aunt were very close.
Right.
So I used to spend time at my aunt's place. You know, I used to visit. They used to visit. So, and I grew up with my aunt's children, my cousins, who've somehow come to be like brothers to me. Like I identify uh, with them as we are like siblings.
Yes.
So as we were growing up, I was a very loud child. I used to talk a lot and cry a lot. So my aunt kind of gave me a nickname. The word, I, I mean, yeah, the word for the Swahili word for siren.
Right.
Do you know the word?
The Swahili word for a siren, kingora.
Yes. Yeah. So
Kingora, is that right?
yes, yes, it is.
Yes.
So that used to be my nickname as I grew up, and then
Because you are loud,
yes,
you're
yes,
or
exactly.
happy, as you say.
Yeah, and then as I grew up, it was shortened to as I grew up, like to the age of 7, 8, 9, it was shortened to Kings. So when I was taken away from my father, and I started a new life with my maternal family. So I had to get a new name because I couldn't identify anymore with my dad. He's like he was in the
Right,
past.
right.
Yeah. So I had to change my name. It was kind of changed to Kings. So Ian Kings. Kings being the short form for
Kingora. That's
yes.
brilliant. That's
So
brilliant.
it became Kings, and most people think it's like it's an English word, but
Yes.
really it's not. So then I became Ian Kings, and then took on my grandfather's surname. So I became Ian Kings Olwich,
Right.
and
Wow.
yeah,
What a
that's how.
brilliant story. I mean, this is the most positive outcome for Stockholm syndrome. Basically, falling in love with your captures.
Right, right, right.
But
Okay.
summing up this, because you've the key point that I take from this is that you're not looking over your shoulder. You have a father. You have
Yes.
people who have supported you. Uh, if somebody would look at this as from an abstract point of view, or from a low perspective, then
Yeah.
it would sound out like, yeah, he was basically taken away. But it is what it is, man. This is how it turned out, and
This is how it turned out, and so in my life, I've got no. I have no regrets. Like I don't look back anymore to
yeah,
try and piece uh, that part of my life together. Like trying to figure out my family from my father's side. Where are they? Who are they? Like it's never been in my any of my interests.
mm.
So,
I'm just curious, if you plan to have a family in the future, what
yeah.
kind of stories then would you tell your kids?
Well, I haven't thought about it that far, but naturally, I just my father right now
Right.
would be my kids' grandparents, and if I had to go through the marriage process, the wedding and all that, my parents, you see, I refer to them as my parents, my
Yes.
currently, they would be there for me. My
Yes.
family, my aunts, my uncles, who've always been there for me as I grew up. They are the family that I guess my children and my wife would get to know.
Right.
Yeah.
The your I remember there's one friend of mine who told me that your family is not the person who actually gave birth to you. Your family, your core family, are the people who care for you. And
Exactly.
I think that is golden,
Yeah.
and that is the gold that you Ian Kings has found.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So uh, as an adult right now, I know I have a father, I have a mother. Actually, I have mothers,
Yes.
because I had several people supporting. So yeah, I don't feel that I ever
Lacked.
lack,
Yeah.
yeah, in terms of love or care. I think I got it all. Maybe even better.
Maybe even better.
Maybe even better than I would have. Maybe just growing up with my dad.
Thank you so much, Ian, for talking to me on Maisha Nordics. And take care of yourself over there in Turkey, man. And you know, when things ease up, I'm definitely coming over there for some beach rest. You know, just because Izmir is very beautiful.
Looking forward to it. I hope when things clear up, you get to come and experience it.
Exactly. I'm wishing you all the best there. I know you're hustling.
Yeah.
I know you're hustling, and you know, your efforts, you know, and all the support that you've got, and you putting up the work is clear for us here to see, man. We're so grateful for your life, bro.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it, man.
Thank you so much, man. I mean, enjoy the rest of it, and let's talk again on Maisha Nordics.